Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Welcome back to the channel if you're not new. If you're new, welcome to the channel. Today I have a video that was inspired by the Somantic Sorceress. She's another content creator and community member. And I saw this video, I was perusing her channel and I saw this video and it really inspired me. And the way that she, I guess, structured the video or the topic of the video, from my understanding, is this is decks I never thought I would add to my collection. And I've added the addition of decks that shocked me by how much I've come to love these decks. So these are decks that I, A, never thought I would add to my collection. And B, these are decks that really shook me. They really shocked me with how much I've come to love the decks, work with the decks, how often I work with the decks. And also, it kind of shocked, at least one of them really shocked me with how I've come to work with the deck. So join me today in a beverage. I'm finishing up a cup of coffee here. And, you can see I've switched to my Valentine's Day mugs. But I do have one honorable mention, so let's quickly get that out of the way. I just unboxed the Tarot of Secrets, so this is why it is an honorable mention. It's upside down. It is an honorable mention because it is new in my collection. I just unboxed it last week. I've been working with it all week and I am obsessed. And I would have put it higher on the deck list if it wasn't brand new. This deck was sent to me by Llewellyn as well. And this is a deck that I was really on the fence about adding to my collection. As you can see, it's a very bright, vivid, colorful deck. And the imagery, as I believe a viewer or a subscriber recently mentioned on that actual walkthrough, she brought up the fact that the imagery, it's very surreal, which I completely agree with. It does have a very surreal feel to the imagery. But as you can see, it's very bright, vivid colors, lots of rainbow. It's very different from my usual aesthetic, if you guys know me. I really have a fondness for black and white or darker imagery. And there's just something about this deck that really drew me in though. So it was something that I was open to exploring. And I have to say, yeah, I've been working with this deck for the past week and I'm very obsessed. I've started, you guys know that color magic it's a practice that I've enjoyed in the past, working especially with eyeshadow or even colors that I wear as garments, as clothing. It is not a new practice in my practice. It's not a new practice in my practice, but it definitely is one that I've grown out of touch with over the past couple of years, really only working with color during specific times where, you know, it was once a very much loved practice of mine. And I have to admit, this deck has me working with color, especially as eyeshadow again. And I've been really enjoying the practice again. And again, it was a practice that I wasn't really partaking in very often. But I've had a lot of fun working with this deck ritually like that. I'm also really enjoying the occult symbolism depicted in the cards as well. So this again is a growing, it's a growing connection and relationship. But I have been having a lot of fun working with this deck, and I'm enjoying this deck a lot more than I initially thought that I would enjoy this deck, because again, it's not my aesthetic. It's typically I tend to go for the darker imagery, the black and white imagery. I really like black and white imagery, which is why I was so completely here for the other deck that she recently published, the creator of this deck. The artist, at least, I should say. The artist is Anna Novez. I love to collect her decks. I think her artwork is just so beautiful. And I really love the Reflections of the Soul Tarot, I think it's called. It's up on a shelf, and I have really poor eyesight, so I can't really... I think it's called Soul Reflections, the Soul Reflections Tarot. So I would say that it's kind of a tie. See, I thought I would like the Soul Reflections Tarot more, but I'd say that I love the two decks actually quite similarly. They're very different decks, though, to use in your collection. The Soul Reflections Tarot is like more of a self-reflection tool or shadow work tool, whereas this one is very deep in occult symbolism. And I've been having a lot of fun using it for divination, like for seeing the future. So I'm having a lot of fun with that deck, and it is today's honorable mention. So let's get straight into the deck list. So the Darkwood Tarot, if you're not new to my channel, you know that Abigail Larson, she is the artist of this deck, the Darkwood Tarot, which landed on this deck list. But she created another, or at least she did the artwork for another deck called the Horror Tarot. So I purchased that deck first, and I absolutely loved it. And I was on the fence about picking this deck up for about a year because I just love the Horror Tarot so much. But I have to say, I did pick this deck up, I think because I was working with Hecate, and I was looking for a tarot deck to connect with her, and this one is really highly recommended in the community for working with her. Funny enough, I don't feel Hecate with this deck. Hecate actually prefers to communicate with me using Oracle. It's Hades that I feel through this deck, which is a bit of a shock to me. But I quickly grew to love this deck. It is absolutely phenomenal. The artwork, the imagery, the guidebook, it's excellent. And I know it has a reputation for being really great in the community, but there was just something there that I was on the fence about picking this deck up for so long. And it's funny because I absolutely love this deck. It's one of my favorite decks to work with, especially in the fall. Or anytime I really want to feel that Hermit, Virgo, especially Virgo season. I want that Hermit energy that I want to tap into and feel. I also have a Virgo moon, so I really do greatly enjoy working with this deck, and I feel such a strong connection to this deck. Everything from the imagery, the artwork, it has this gothic wood, like dark wood aesthetic to it. Oopsie, there's the tower. But it is really one of my favorite decks. I can't remember if I included it in my top 5 favorite decks of 2025. I really should have. But this is quickly becoming one of my all-time favorite decks in my entire collection. I love this deck even more than the Horror Tarot, which is funny because I thought that I'd love the Horror Tarot more. And don't get me wrong, I love that deck still, but this one just has it has a really special place in my heart. So again, this is the Darkwood Tarot, and it was created by Sasha Graham and Abigail Larson. It is a Llewellyn deck. So mass-produced. Really great deck. I fall in love even deeper every single year with that deck. With this deck, sorry. Next up, I have the Wisdom of the Wild Things. I picked this up while I think I was going through a really dark time in my life. And I picked it up on recommendation, I believe. And I had just heard such wonderful things about the guidebook, but I wasn't really too sure. I was really greatly on the fence about this deck because of the artwork. The artwork just doesn't really appeal to me. But I did hear that the guidebook is really sweet. So I did go ahead and I picked it up based off of some recommendations from others in the community. And I'm happy I did. This deck is such a wonderful deck if you're struggling, if you're going through a hard time and you just need a warm, compassionate hug and loving embrace. That is just what this deck feels like. The guidebook is so sweet. The guidebook kind of gives me the feel of, you know, the monsters or the creatures that are depicted throughout the deck. They're not as they appear to be, and it's really kind of, it gives you the vibe of don't judge a book by its cover, if you get what I'm saying. Especially if you have this deck. But the guidebook is just so sweet. It's so compassionate and loving. I like to pull a card as almost like a blessing card after I do a reading if I'm going through a really hard time. But yeah, I've quickly really come to love this deck. It has a special place in my collection as well as in my heart. I'm starting to think I should call this video that. The decks that have a special place in my heart. And again, this is the Wisdom of the Wild Things. It's a US Games deck, so mass produced. Another deck that really shocked me, this is the Between the Worlds. It is a shadow casting with Bone and Curio Oracle cards. And I know this creator created I think it was a shadow work deck that's quite popular. Her name's Monica Bordersky, I think. Bodersky. But it is, honestly, it's a fascinating deck. It's really fantastic. I initially picked this up to work with Hades because it, as you can tell, it has kind of this antique vintage. It also has an underworld vibe to me. But you'd be surprised, like, I've connected with ancestors with this deck, really touching on symbolism that my ancestors, or symbols that my ancestors were trying to use to communicate with me. Some of them were incredibly sacred to my family, going back through the generations. So I find this deck to be particularly powerful. It's very potent. It's excellent for accessing the underworld, for working with dark deity like Hades, personally, as well as ancestors. It's an excellent tool for divining. And it just really blew me away. I didn't think that I would have such a powerful connection with this deck. I mostly work with this deck intuitively, and I really like to connect with the symbols. But yeah, this is another deck that really blew me away, and I never pictured myself working with this deck the way that I do and having the connection that I have with it. So again, this is the Between the Worlds. I call it the Between the Worlds Oracle cards or deck, but it is a mass-produced deck. I can't see the publisher currently, but I know it is mass-produced. I just picked it up on Amazon quite a few years ago. Next Next up, the Enchanted Earth Oracle is one that I knew that it was coming out. Like, I knew about the deck for quite some time, but I had made the intention that I wouldn't purchase this deck until the winter, like around the first snowfall, which I did actually end up ritually pulling out this deck and working with it on the first snowfall. And to me, this deck really houses that energy within it, that, you know, the enjoyment, the excitement that you feel upon that first snowfall. Maybe not you as an adult, but maybe the childhood you. It has the power of really connecting you with your inner child. The inner child that enjoyed to play with snow, make snow forts, or maybe you were one of the children that liked to throw or do like a snowball fight or throw snowballs at your sibling. I know I was. So it has a wonderful whimsical energy to it. It's excellent for really tapping into your inner child and that excitement for the first snowfall. There's also a beautiful, refreshing energy to it. I knew that I would like the deck, but I didn't realize that I would love the deck as much as I do. And it has a lot of rich meaning to me. And I think that's why it landed on this list today. Like, I knew I'd like it, but I didn't know that I'd like it as much as I do. And animal decks are, you know, they're not underrepresented in the community. There's so many animal decks. I have one currently that I wish to unbox for the channel in the future. And I have a very interesting idea about how I want to work with it. But my point is that there are so many animal decks in the community. There's so many that have been released, both mass-produced and indie. And I do not have a shortage of them in my collection. However, this deck is unique in the sense of how I use it, how I feel called to use it. So it is one that I've really greatly come to appreciate and love in my collection in ways that I didn't quite understand at the time, but I was slightly tapping into intuitively when I first unboxed the deck. So it is one that I really do love. I'm very appreciative that I felt that connection, that intuition to pick this deck up. It is wonderful. It is such a wonderful, I love the fox energy. There is a lot of fox and stag energy in this deck. It feels like winter to me too, but not harsh winter. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like the, to me, that would be the harsh, like, survival grit aspects of winter are really housed within the Wildwood Tarot to me. This is like fun, whimsical, childhood-like energy, the excitement for the, you know, the beginning, particularly the beginning of winter, not when you're sick and tired of winter, but anyways, I am rambling, but this is, again, it's called the Enchanted Earth Oracle, and it is a rock pool deck. It's such a wonderful deck it is. It's so cute. Very cute. Lastly, I have two more decks here. I'm going to talk about this one first. So the Mausolea Oracle of Souls, I did an unboxing, I think, a couple of weeks ago on the channel. I've been working with the deck and having a really interesting experience. I know I mentioned recently on the channel that I was pulling the Hades card out of this deck repeatedly. And I am moving through a transition, or at least I'm preparing to move through a transition currently, and I'm experiencing some grief. So it is not uncommon for me to feel his presence at the altar when I'm moving through an experience that I find particularly upsetting. So I'm having, you know, I definitely enjoy the deck. I enjoy the artwork. It has that dark aesthetic that I like. It has a CGI kind of look to it slightly, if you know what I mean. It kind of does look like the computer graphics, like the CGI. I think it's called CGI. Which I wasn't too sure if I would enjoy that. But I honestly do really enjoy the artwork a lot more than I thought I would. And this is a deck that I've known about its existence for very many years, and I had put it on the fence. Like, I knew I'd pick the deck up eventually. Sorry, I didn't pick this deck up. Sorry, this deck was sent to me for review by Llewellyn. I just remembered. So this copy that I'm showing you is the copy that they sent to me for review, but I do have an additional copy that I've purchased off Amazon that I do wish to give away in the future. As you can see, it's completely unwrapped. I haven't touched it. It's still in its plastic, so I do want to give that away in the future with possibly some other decks or books that I've purchased with my own funds. But it is a deck that I have greatly enjoyed. Again, the artwork is just, the CGI I didn't think I would love as much as I do, but it does have that dark imagery that I do greatly enjoy, admittedly. But what really blew me away about this deck is that I have really found this deck to be very encouraging and supportive. This is a bit of a vulnerable time for me, as I am approaching some significant transitions in my life, and I definitely think that this deck has entered my collection at not a coincidental time, especially because I do find this deck to be very loving, very supportive. So this is a deck, again, that really blew me away. It is one that I had known, like I said, I had known that this deck existed for so long. And it was one that I was greatly on the fence about picking up or adding to my collection for very many years until recently. And again, I do think that the timing is just, it's not coincidental. Especially because I do find this deck so incredibly loving. But again, this is another deck that really shocked me. This is called the Mausolea Oracle of Souls. And it has a depth to it as well. It has a remarkable depth and sense of compassion. Lastly, I have the Lubanko Tarot. So this was gifted to me. And this deck I would have never requested. I don't think I would have ever picked this deck up. It did not appeal to me at the time until I received the deck and I started working with it. Talk about hidden depth. This deck has there is a hidden depth to it. It's a Llewellyn. It's also edged in like this gorgeous black. But it is such a fantastic deck. It really blew me away. The artwork is it's beautiful. It's dark fantasy. It kind of reminds me of a dark anime. And it's one that I've really greatly enjoyed working with. And I honestly didn't think that I would. I would never have chosen this deck. I would have never picked this deck up. And I'm so grateful that it was gifted to me. Because again, it has this depth to it, the artwork, the characters depicted. There's a mystery to this deck. There is a sense of unlocking secrets with this deck that I really feel like I'm just tapping into. I can sense it. This is definitely a deck study deck. This is one that I can see just perplexing me. you always get a sense of, no matter how much you work with it or study it, and I haven't had it in my collection for very long, admittedly. Like, I think I just received it in the fall. And you just get a sense of, like, you could just keep going deeper and deeper, no matter how much you work with the deck, you study the deck, you communicate with the deck. It feels like there's more to uncover. It has that kind of energy to it. It's fascinating and it's fantastic. And it is one that I am just so greatly honored to have in my collection, and I'm very humbled by it. It's a very beautiful deck, and I'm very appreciative that I have it in my collection. So again, this is the Lubanko Tarot. It is a Llewellyn deck, I believe. And this is just a deck that really shocked me at how much I have come to love the deck and appreciate it for what it is. Not what I want it to be, not what I think it should be, but for simply what it is. So thank you so much for joining me in today's video. That is all the decks that I wanted to discuss with you here today. So I had 6 decks and 1 honorable mention. So very interesting. I love this topic. This was a very interesting video to create. I'm really happy that I stumbled upon it on the Semantic Sorceress's YouTube channel. Very fascinating. I'm very happy I, perused her channel, and I saw that video. It really stood out to me. So, but thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.